Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Two Toe Tags, and today we're going to review the new 5-figure Death Punch album titled Fate. So this album did come out last week. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do a first impressions of it, but we're here to review the album. We were listening to it all week, so Val, take the floor. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are pretty good, actually. Surprisingly good. I think this is probably an example of something where you kind of go in with a low standard and you get surprised, because that's what happened to me. The last album these guys put out was a horrible album. It sucked. There was like maybe one good song on it. The rest of it was crap. This band, I don't really like this band much at all. Other than the first two albums, which I think were great when they came out. Other than that, they've fallen apart for me. But this album has revitalized some of my passion that I did have for this band at one point. So, overall, I feel like this album really threw back to their old original sound, which is I think what they needed to do. I think this is a huge step in the right direction. They still do have elements of their, please play me on the radio type of songs, okay? You can't help that these days with a band like this. They've reached that level now, they have to make songs like that. It's just their nature now. So a song like Inside Out, which was the single.
The first single, and I believe we reacted to it as well.
We did react to it, and we reacted to the radio edit version, which honestly, they're both on this album. One's kind of a bonus song, and I couldn't really tell the difference. I didn't study them.
The same.
I didn't study them enough. Maybe one has swearing and one doesn't, whatever.
We don't really pay much mind to bonus tracks or extra content on albums in regards to reviews, so like the radio edit was there, but I'm just like, whatever.
Well, my point is that when we reacted to the song, we didn't really like it, and people in the comments were like, oh, well, this is just the radio version, you gotta listen to the real version. So I listened to the real version, and I'm like, it sounds the same. But you know what? The more I listened to it, it did grow on me a bit, but I still don't think it's definitely one of the weaker songs on the album.
I'm curious, what were your thoughts on the intro track, which is the title track leading into Inside Out?
It was fine. I think it blended in very nicely. It was a good opener for the album. I don't have any ill feelings toward it. It was pretty sure it's like a minute long, so it is kind of just an opening kind of thing that bleeds into the song. It's cool. But this album does have some pretty good songs on it. And I was actually surprised that I was digging some stuff. Like, I'm just gonna name a few songs. I'm not gonna go into too much detail about the songs, but Full Circle, Bottom of the Top, Mother May I, This Is War, Leave It All Behind, and Scar Tissue are all pretty damn good songs. Most of those songs are pretty heavy comparative to what we heard on the last album. These definitely evoked feelings from the first two albums. I was getting that old school vibe from them. The last song, which is Brighter Side of Grey, kind of really surprised me as well, because it's the soft song on the album. It's, I guess, a ballad, right? Like a metal ballad, I guess you'd say. And it resonated with me. I was really connecting with that song. The lyrics were, I guess, meaningful, and it hit me in the feels, man. Like, I really like the song. It's well performed, and Ivan sounds really freaking good on it. He sounds good on this whole album, by the way. His vocals are really tight. In that song specifically, he actually sings at 2 octaves in that song. So he sings at 1, and then he goes up an octave, which is pretty cool. Sounds great. His voice is really refined, and throughout the album, there's a good mixture of cleans and harsh vocals, some harmonizing, some cool dynamics with both vocals going back and forth. I think these guys really put together a solid album, and I almost hate to say that because of how frowned upon this band is, but I gotta give credit where it's due. I'm not gonna shit on it because I'm not a fan of the band. These guys made a good album.
I have pretty similar feelings to you. I was extremely impressed with how much of a step up this album was from the last one. Because the last one sucked. I did not like it. Almost every song annoyed me, and I did not like that album. So I also had pretty low expectations going into this album. And was I surprised? Because a lot of these songs have moments that kind of irk me a little bit. Like, the verses of Full Circle, I'm not too huge on them. It feels kind of whiny in the way he's singing it, but the chorus of that song is awesome. I actually was liking a lot of the choruses, a lot of the clean choruses that were on this album. Like, I was really vibing with those a lot. Like, I was super impressed by this album overall, really. Like, I was just super surprised that a lot of the songs have a lot of heaviness to it, but the lighter parts work out really well. Now, Brighter Side of Grey is really good as an outro track. I personally didn't really love it, but I will give credit where it's due. It's a good outro track for the album. Like for how the rest of the album goes, I think the contour of the songs is really good. You get a really good mixture of, you know, up and down, light and heavy. Like it's a really good hybrid. And I'm just so surprised that it's like, wow, the last album fucking sucked and this album's pretty damn good. Like, wow. Now, I was kind of looking through this album and a lot of the lyrical content because I was interested in what it was about. And I feel like it was also a step up from the last album. The last album felt like it was trying too hard to be cool, if that makes sense. Trying too hard to be edgy or like the first track, I'm pretty sure it was the first track, it was called Fake. It had the stupidest lyrics I've ever read. Yeah. And then this album had a lot more interesting stuff. There was still some stuff that I felt was a bit hokey, but something like Brighter Side of Grey or a little bit off, I actually like the lyrics to that a lot. I liked how interesting it was. I like how it wasn't trying to be edgy. It's just like talking about how people can have bad days.
See, I like the meaning of the song. I really like the meaning of the song because everybody I think can relate to stuff like that. But the way it's worded, I really have a problem with.
Yeah, so like Full Circle's lyrics, like not only was the way that those verses were performed, but also the lyrics of those verses, like the way it was worded just feels like
yeah, like, I don't know, that's one of the things I've had a problem with this band for a long time is the lyrics feel very immature or juvenile. And it's honestly, if they can improve on the lyrics, they would, I think, get a lot more respect in the metal community because their lyrics are so, like, high school. Like, I feel like this band is for, call it the 3 J's, jarheads, jocks, and junior metalheads. Basically, if you're an entry-level metalhead, or you're a jock, or you're a jarhead, you're basically, this is kind of the band that's for you.
What is a jarhead?
Like a soldier, like an army guy.
The helmet.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that's how I feel about this band. But like, I think like typical, like traditional metalheads like us, like this, we don't relate to these kind of lyrics a lot of the time. And when we do, like, we listen to a lot of bands with a lot of very sophisticated lyrics. So when you hear something like this and it sounds so like it sounds like he's writing in crayon, like, I
don't... He's just doodling, like gives it to his kid and his kid writes it up for it.
I mean, like, I know he's trying to be meaningful and stuff like that and have deep lyrics and stuff like that, and he does hit the mark sometimes, like in Brighter Side of Grey. But for the most part, it just sounds like a guy who's trying to look and act tough, but he just comes across as like a wimp who's trying.
Consider though how this album overall did like the lyrical content a lot better than the last one. Because the last
it did. It was an improvement.
What Vile just talked about is pretty much like everything that the last album did wrong lyrically. Like that was the whole album. This album has a little bit of that still because that's, I guess, the style of the band's lyricism. Yeah. But it's just a lot better. It's just a lot more well done. It's a lot better to digest and it doesn't feel as juvenile as you said.
Let's rate it.
Okay, so this album is a solid album. Like, honestly, I was impressed. That being said, I feel like there's still elements of the album that don't really, like, push it too far for me, because it got to the point where there were some songs where I would just listen to and just not really, you know, feel anything about. Like, even now, there's some songs on this album that I can't even remember really well, even though I just listened to it for an entire week. So, in a lot of spots it does well, but I feel like it might not last the longest, but it's still pretty good. So I'll have to give it a 6. It's good. It's straight up good, and I'm honestly impressed with how much better this was than the last album.
Yeah, you made a good point talking about some songs that are just basically not memorable. Because there are a few songs on here, like I'm looking at my song list right here, and I'm like, I kind of don't even remember how that goes, and I listened to it for a whole week as well. So you make a good point, but this is a huge step in the right direction for this band in all fronts. It's a well-performed album. It's got good energy to it. The heavy parts are heavy. Yeah, that makes sense. But it does suffer from a few different things. So my score is going to be, actually I'm gonna give it a 6.5. I feel like it's it's definitely in the right direction, and part of my score might be attributed to the fact that, like I said at the beginning of the video, I set a low bar, so I got more easily impressed, which is kind of, you get kind of a few little cheap points for that, but that's okay in my opinion sometimes, right? I think these guys are doing a good job. I saw an interview where they're saying this is the best album they've done in a while. Their last couple albums they were disappointed in. I feel like their mindset is in the right place, and if they keep on this track, then I think that their next album after this might be a total banger.
Yeah, I think with that kind of confidence that they had in this album, you can tell that things are only going to go up from here for this band.
Exactly, guys. But anyways, that's it for this video. So you got a 6 from TV Fish, 6.5 for me. We want to know what you guys think of this album and this band. We know a lot of you guys probably hate Five Finger Death Punch, but a lot of you guys also love Five Finger Death Punch because you guys tell us all the time in the comments. Let us know down below. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Check out our Spotify playlist. Links are in the description. I'm Vile Self.
I'm TV Fish.
I will see you guys very soon on the next video. Keep those heads banging.